So moving to Finland doesn't have to be a maze of headaches and surprises. With years of guiding newcomers, I've seen what trips people up and how to make relocation easy. So today I'm going to show you the streamlined guide for permits and registrations when moving, how to secure your Finnish home quickly, and tips I wish everyone knew sooner to settle in fast. But wondering why you should trust me with your Finland relocation journey anyway? Simple. I've helped hundreds of people relocate to Finland stress-free so they could focus building their lives and careers without drowning in paperwork or housing headaches. So whether you're just starting to plan or already packing your bags, my videos and relocation service are here to make your move smoother, faster, and a lot less stressful. And want personal help with your relocation? Click the link in the description and let's make your move to Finland success. To start, let me show why the relocation becomes a nightmare for many. Imagine sitting at your computer, dozens of browser tabs open, government websites, housing sites, resources, blog posts, and forums full of conflicting advice. You're trying to figure out how to move to Finland, but every answer just leads to more questions. That's why I've broken the process of moving to Finland down to 10 steps so you're more confident with your move. So step 1, which route to Finland? So before you start dreaming of salmiakki, sauna, and rye bread, grab your passport. Your nationality decides which route to take to move to Finland. There are 4 main options based on your nationality: EU and EEA citizens, Nordic citizens, non-EU citizens, and non-EU citizen who is a family member of an EU citizen. So for example, if you're from Germany, you're an EU citizen. And if you're from the US, you're a non-EU citizen. If you're a Brazilian married to a French citizen, you are a non-EU family member of an EU citizen. And if you're from Sweden, you're a Nordic citizen. And if you have dual citizenship, say US and Dutch, you get to choose the route that works the best for you. And in most cases, entering as an EU citizen with your Dutch passport will make things much easier. And next I'll cover each step in depth. To save time, check the timestamp below to jump straight to the section that matches your nationality. See you there. So ready? Grab your passport and let's find your path to Finland. And let's start with the EU citizen. So you're an EU citizen and thinking of moving to Finland? Congratulations, you're basically unlocked the easy mode in the Finnish immigration game. But note that even in easy mode, there are still a few official hoops to jump through, and missing a step can get you a fine, stress, or delays. So here's what makes it easy. So under the EU free mobility rules, you don't need a residence permit to live in Finland. But within 90 days of arriving, you must register your right of residency, oleskeluoikeuden rekisteröinti in Finnish. Failing to do so gets you a fine. You also need a reason for your registration, like work, study, joining a family, or simply having enough money to support yourself. For example, my relocation clients Matthew and Raphael had EU citizenship and they moved to Finland this way. But what did they actually have to do? Here's the step-by-step guide. First, you need to decide your grounds for your registration. Work, study, joining a family member, or sufficient funds to support yourself. Step 2, prepare your documents. You need your passport, proof of your grounds, so job contract, university admission, evidence of funds or family ties. And family certificates. If you move in with your family, kids and or spouse, get the multilingual standard form certificates from your home country authorities. If they are from the EU, you don't need to translate and legalize them. Step 3, start your application at Enter Finland. This is the portal where you make your applications. So you simply create an account, fill in your info and upload your documents. And make sure to take time to fill in everything carefully. And note that each family member needs to have their own application. Kids can be done via your account, but adults over 18 years old need their own. And then you pay the fee. Step 4, book a Migri meeting. So next you need to make an appointment at the Finnish Immigration Service Migri office in Finland using their online service. Ideally before you arrive in Finland because the slots fill up fast. And tip, if you're moving to Finland for work or study, book the meeting for a date after you've started. This allows you to get the decision right away at the meeting without any delays. So if you go earlier, they cannot give you the decision immediately. Step 5, attend your appointment in Finland. So bring your passport and all the documents and don't be late. And step 6, get your decision. If everything is in order, you'll get your registration and Finnish personal identity code henkilötunnus right away, which unlocks the next steps of the process. For Nordic citizens. So if you're from Sweden, Denmark, Iceland or Norway, moving to Finland couldn't be any easier. You don't need to register your right of residency like other EU citizens. Instead, all you have to do is register your personal data at DVV, the Finnish Population and Data Services Agency. I will show how to do that later in this video because everyone needs to do this. So check the timestamp to progress. So non-EU citizens. So if you're not an EU citizen, moving to Finland is a bit more like a quest than for the EU folks. Think of it as the Finnish immigration hard mode. But don't worry, you just need to know where the traps are and how to dodge them. For example, Nicole, my client from the US, moved to Tampere as a specialist after getting a job offer. She slayed the paperwork dragon. I'll live to tell the tale. Then there's Craig, who pulled the Finnish ancestry card his grandparents grandparent was Finnish, so he got in with the remigration permit. Talk about winning the genetic lottery. And Harry from Hong Kong, he cracked the code with the student permit after getting into University of Turku. But before we start warming up the sauna for you, there are 4 things to know. First, you need a residence permit, oleskelulupa. If you want to stay in Finland for more than 90 days as a non-EU citizen, you need a residence permit. This is your official ticket to living in Finland. 2. Permit categories. There are dozens of permit categories, but here are the most common ones. Work. Get the job offer in Finland. There are regular and specialist permits. Think specialist as high salary, big brain, or rare skills. Study. Got into a Finnish school or university? Welcome to the student life and endless coffee. Business. Want to start a company or bring your startup dreams to land of Nokia? There's a permit for that. Family. Moving with the spouse or parent who has a permit? Congratulations, you're joining the Finnish family reunion. Remigration. If your parents or grandparents were Finnish citizens at birth, you can move to Finland and claim your spot at the sauna. And you can see all the permit types on Migri's website. 3. Processing times. So depending on your permit, it could take anywhere from 2 weeks to 9 months to get a decision. I know we have fast rally drivers, but we are not always fast at paperwork. So always check the current times on the Migri website and plan your move accordingly. For example, at the time of recording this video, Migri is not able to process the family permits with regular work or study permits, which may prevent your family moving with you. This has happened to my clients. And 4. Permit types. So your residence permit is one of the following types. B permit. Temporary stay, usually for studies, fixed term job or internship. A permit. This usually means continuous stay, like specialist work, startup entrepreneur, a student with higher degree studies, or family member with an A permit. And then there's the P permit, permanent. So after you've survived long enough with an A permit to earn your Finnish veteran badge in Finland. So how do we actually apply for a permit? Here's how it works. 1. Prepare your documents. So everyone needs a valid passport and compliant passport photos, more on Migri website, and each permit category has different requirements. For example, in Nicole's case for work permit, she needed a job contract, her diploma, and proof of salary, which had to be high enough to qualify for the specialist permit. And in Harry's case, a student permit, university admission letter, proof of funds, tuition payment or scholarship, family certificates, and health insurance. And then remigration in Greg's case, documents providing the relationship to the grandparent and that the grandparent was Finnish citizen at birth. And then family certificates. This is important. If you move in with your family, like spouse and kids, you need to have translated and legalized certificates unless they are from an EU country. And if your country is in the Apostille Convention, you need to get an apostille stamp on those certificates. Otherwise, you need to legalize the documents first with your foreign ministry, then at the Finnish or Nordic embassy. I'll put a link in the description about this. Step 2, apply at Enter Finland. So Enter Finland is the portal for sending your applications. And you simply create an account, pick first permit, then select your category, and then fill your information, upload documents, and pay the fee. And take your time and make sure you don't miss anything. This is a common mistake that can cause delays. Step 3, book your identification appointment. So you need to visit the Finnish Embassy or VFS Center for identification to start the application process. Enter Finland will tell you where you have to go. And sometimes the nearest location is in another country, so plan ahead. For example, one of my clients in Bangladesh had to go to India or Dubai for this step, so don't book that last minute. Also note that almost always you need to apply for your first permit abroad, not in Finland. Step 4, attend your identification appointment. So bring your documents, don't forget anything, and seriously, Finnish bureaucracy is like a bouncer, one missing paper and you're not getting in. And note, this is where the processing time for your application actually starts. Step 5, wait for a decision. So you'll get updates by email. If anything is missing, you'll be asked to provide it. And keep the processing times in mind. Step 6, get your permit card. So when approved, you'll receive an email notification and your residence permit card by mail, usually to your home address within few weeks. With that, you're ready to move to Finland. And note, check if you received a personal identity code henkilötunnus with your permits. It's usually printed on the card in case. But if you completed the verification at the VFS center, you usually don't get it and have to apply it for it in Finland. But don't worry, we will talk about that later. So quick recap. Pick your permit category, gather your documents, apply online and pay, identify yourself at the embassy or VFS, wait for approval, and then get your permit card and go. Bottom line, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but you'll get there and the sauna will feel even better when you get here. Then, family member of an EU citizen. So if you're a non-EU citizen, but your spouse or close family member is an EU citizen, congratulations, you've just found a cheat code to the Finnish immigration. So forget the paperwork marathon, this is the express lane at the bureaucracy buffet. Here's how it works. So instead of a regular residence permit, you'll get to apply for a residence card for a family member of EU citizen. EU-perheenjäsenen oleskelukortti. Try saying that 5 times fast. And note, Residence card is not a residence permit. They're different things. So your EU family member needs to move with you or before you and complete their EU registration for this to work. For example, Matthew had Hungarian citizen, but his wife was Australian, so we applied for this card for her, allowing her to move to Finland without a residence permit. And note, if your spouse or the family member is a Finnish citizen, living in Finland, you need to apply for a residence permit based on family instead and not for this. But if your Finnish spouse has lived in another EU country, let's say you'll be living in France and then you decide to move to Finland, you can use this route. There are some exceptions. I'll put the link in the description for details. So how does the process work in this case? Number one, again, you start by preparing your documents. So you need your passport and your marriage and or birth certificates. Again, if they are from a non-EU country, you have to have them translated and legalized. This may mean getting a postal stamp or embassy certification depending on your country. Then you apply for the residence card again on Enter Finland. So create an account, fill in your info and pay the fee. You can start this before moving and do it together with your EU family member. Do it all together at the same time. And then you book a meeting with Migri in Finland again, and you can book a meeting for the entire family so everyone goes together. And use their online service to do it and do it before arrival to secure your slot. Then you attend your appointment in Finland, bring all the documents, and again, don't be late. We Finns don't like to be late. And then you just wait for processing. Currently, the processing time for the residence card is 3 months. And then you just receive your card by mail. So quick recap, no residence permit needed, just the residence card. Apply online, book your Migri meeting, and wait for your card. Bureaucracy level, surprisingly survivable. Now we can move to the step 2, which is about your travel plans. So alright, you booked your ticket to Finland, congrats. Before you start practicing your mitä kuuluu and daydreaming about your first Finnish sauna, let's talk about one thing that can make or break your arrival preparation. Because trust me, landing in Finland without a plan is like showing up to a snowball fight in a swimsuit. You might survive, but you're not going to enjoy. So here's your prep checklist to make sure your first hours and days in Finland are smooth and not slippery. Plan your arrival logistics. So most people land at the Helsinki-Vantaa airport, so make a plan how to get from the airport to your accommodation or your transfer flight if you're going elsewhere. If you have a lot of luggage or family, get a taxi like Uber or Bolt. I think they provide the best value. And at the airport, they have this like app rides area, so you can easily find this Uber or Bolt rides there. And for non-EU citizens, the immigration control may ask that you still meet the requirements, such as income and health insurance. So make sure to have them ready on your phone or on paper if in English. Just in case. Also, get a prepaid SIM card. So if you're coming from outside the EU, you may not have internet access without those expensive roaming fees. So Finnish phone company Elisa offers a prepaid eSIM card with a Finnish phone number and mobile data, helping you at home when getting around. Link in the description. So alternatively, you can just get a physical prepaid SIM card, or you can get eSIM with data only. That's also an option to get started. Medication and medical certificates. If you have prescribed medicine, you can bring enough for personal use, but check if your medicine is a controlled substance. These have stricter limitations, and bring the documentation in English. So for example, if you bring medication outside the EU, you can usually bring up to 3 months supply for personal use, but only 14 days worth for controlled substances. You can visit the doctor here who will prescribe you something similar, and you can get also the reimbursements too. Set up a Wise.com account. So Wise lets you create a multi-currency account, including euro, for free. And this offers you 3 big benefits. 1, you can get the euro bank account to pay rent and deposits before you open a Finnish account, which can take weeks. 2, convert your currency to euro at good rates to save money. And 3, you can also get a Wise debit card to spend in euro and avoid those nasty currency conversion fees, for example, when going to the grocery store during your first days. Use the link below to get started. Prepare for Finland's weather. So if you're arriving in winter and not used to the cold, don't show up in t-shirt and shorts. You can buy quality winter clothes in Finland, but make sure you don't freeze during your first hours. Also, decide what to bring. So I once worked with someone who wanted to bring their television. Don't do that, please. So just bring your key documents, personal items, basic clothing, and hygiene. And I wouldn't bring too many books. We have excellent libraries here. Heavy winter gear. So if you come from a warm country, you can get the quality stuff here instead. Car, importing is a hassle, and so just buy or lease locally. And electronics, excessive ones. Don't bring your TV, because you can buy most daily essentials easily in Finland. Bringing pets. So if you're moving with a furry family member, usually a dog or cat, you can bring them to Finland, but there are specific entry requirements depending on your country. Your pet will need proper identification, vaccination, and travel documents, so check the Finnish Food Authority Ruokavirasto website for the official rules. I will put that in the description as well. Also confirm your airline's pet policy and travel arrangements well in advance. For example, my client Nicole moved in with her cat, and everything went smoothly. So quick recap, do this before you fly and your first hours and days in Finland will be a breeze, not the blizzard you'll remember forever. Then we can move to the step 3, paperwork bingo. So you've made it, you're finally in Finland. So you step off the plane, take a deep breath of that crisp Finnish Nordic air and think, I did it. And then, bam! You're hit with the stack of paperwork that looks like it was designed by a committee of Finnish bureaucracy engineers on a mission. ID number, home municipality, tax card, social security, ID card, bank account. Wait, what? So suddenly you're playing Finnish bureaucracy bingo and you have no idea which boxes to tick first. And here's the thing, if you get this wrong, you could end up in a paperwork purgatory. No bank account, no healthcare, no phone plan, no long-term housing, and definitely no sauna privileges. But don't panic, I'm about to show you the cheat codes. And let's start with the first step, registering in Finland. I have this number because there are a number of steps involved in this step 3, so just try to bear with it. So once you arrive in Finland, your next crucial step is to register yourself with the Finnish Population Information System through the Digital and Population Data Agency, DVV. Yeah, DVV. Try saying that 5 times fast. So this process is vital as it provides you with 2 key fundamental elements. First, your Finnish personal identity number, henkilötunnus in Finnish. So this is akin to a social security number and is essential for nearly all aspects in life in Finland, including banking, contracts, healthcare, and rental contracts. Without it, you're just a John or Jane Doe and you cannot do anything in Finland without this. And the second thing is your home municipality, kotikunta. So this designates your local authority and grants you access to the essential local services like daycare, schools, and most importantly, the public healthcare. So kotikunta has detailed requirements, but as a rule of thumb, if you move to Finland for at least a year, you're eligible. And without this, you effectively don't exist within the Finnish system. However, once registered, all the other necessary services like banking, taxes, healthcare will seamlessly fall into place. But how to get your setup? Here's the process. So step 1, check if you already have a Finnish ID number. So EU citizens, you typically receive your number during the EU registration progress. And non-EU citizens, your ID number may have been issued with your residence permit card. You will see it on your card if that's the case. And Nordic citizens, this is your initial step, meaning you don't likely have the ID number yet. Step 2, submit your application to DVV. So if you don't have an ID number, you can apply for both the ID number and the home municipality using this form on DVV website. So you simply just fill in your personal information, answer questions about your move, attach copies of your passport, permit, work contract or study contract, depending on your case. And if you already have an ID number, apply for the home municipality only using this form. It's similar but shorter. So this will take around 5 minutes, but make sure to fill everything carefully. And note that these forms also ask for an address. So it's likely you don't have a proper rental yet at this stage. If you're staying, for example, temporarily in an Airbnb or a hotel, you can use that address and then you will just simply update it later. Step 3, book a meeting with DVV if required. So if the application instructs you to visit, schedule an appointment with DVV. Non-EU citizens will always have to visit, and EU citizens who registered their right of residency within the last 12 months, an online form might be enough, so you don't need to visit. So you just simply visit the DVV booking site, select your city and choose registration of foreigners' personal data or fast track if you hold a specialist or the startup permit who are eligible for the fast track. The appointments can be booked for your entire family and before your arrival. Step 4, attend your appointment. So remember to bring all the original documents and arrive on time. Children should also attend. So your visit marks the beginning of the processing time. Step 5, wait for a decision. So check the processing times on DVV website and you will receive an email with your ID number and home municipality decision. So get this done and you go from invisible to invincible in the Finnish system. Step 3.2, register your family members if applicable. So this is important if you bring family members. So in Finland, it's not enough to register each person individually. The population information system also needs to know who's related to whom. For example, if you don't register your parenthood info, you can't apply a daycare spot for your children online because the system doesn't recognize you as their parent. So here's how to do it. 1, have your birth and marriage certificates ready. These need to be translated and legalized unless they are from the EU country, but you should already have these from your permit or EU registration process because you need those at that stage too. 2, fill in the notification forms. So fill these forms about your marriage or your children or the birth certificates, whichever applies in your case. You can fill these forms online and print them and bring them to the meeting, or you can just fill them out at the DVV office. 3, submit the documents to DVV. So option 1, which I usually recommend, is that you simply bring the forms and the documents to your DVV appointment. So if you're already visiting DVV for your ID number and home municipality, you can handle this at the same time. Option 2, send the notification forms and the certificates by paper mail to DVV, but I recommend doing it in person if possible. But for example, I once worked with the EU family and they didn't need to visit DVV, so we just decided to mail them and it worked. Then you just wait for a decision. So you'll receive an email notification once the processing is complete, and you can see the processing times on DVV website. Once that's done, your whole family is officially connected in the system and you'll be able to access the family services in Finland without a hitch. Step 3.3, get your ID card, and this is for non-EU citizens only. Alright, you survived the Finnish paperwork so far, congrats, but don't put away your official documents folder just yet, because if you are non-EU or EEA citizen, this step is absolutely mandatory. Without it, you'll end up as a B-class citizen without a bank account and access to the digital services in Finland. For everyone else, this is entirely optional and you can skip to the next part. But this is the foreigner's identity card, ulkomaalaisen henkilökortti. You need to get this to get the bank account fast and online access, and we will talk about that later in this video. So you need your home municipality status confirmed by DVV before you can complete this step. Keep that in mind. Here's how to get it. Get Finnish passport photos. Head to any photo store in Finland, they'll take your picture, upload it to the police system and give you a code for your application. And as a bonus, you get to practice your Finnish smile. Looks like this. And then you go to the nearest police station to make an application. So in some cities you can book an appointment, but the slots are always booked. And instead you can just use the walk-in strategy and take a waiting number there. And my advice is to go at 8 a.m. when they open to grab the number quickly. This is what we did with Nicole, and she was able to get this step done without too much waiting. So when it's your turn, show your passport and permit, fill out the form, enter the photo code from the photo store and pay the fee. Then you wait for the processing. So the card takes about 8 business days to process, and that's just enough time to figure out why Finns love rye bread so much. Yeah, seriously, we need to fire the script writer. And then you collect your card from the police station. So you receive an SMS and email when your card is ready to collect. So quick recap. Get your Finnish ID card early, especially if you're non-EU citizen. You can open a bank account and access all the Finnish services without delay later on. Step 3.4, subscribe to the Social Security. So you've landed, you're registered, and now it's time to unlock the Finland's famous safety net. So enter Kela, the Social Security institution, the magical Finnish word you start hearing everywhere. Think Kela as your safety net subscription. It's not Netflix, but it does cover your doctor visits, medicine, and even your parental leave. So who gets covered? So Kela checks 2 things. First, why did you move to Finland? So if you come to Finland for work, you're usually fully covered. But if you come for studies, you might have more limited access, such as not all the social benefits like the student financial aid. And if you're a family member, your coverage depends on your main applicant's status. And the second factor is the length of stay. So Kela decides if your move to Finland is permanent, and usually you need to plan to stay at least a year. And what are the benefits? You get discounts at private clinics, you get prescription medicine reimbursements at the pharmacy, social benefits including unemployment, disability, parental leave and child benefit. You also get the European Health Insurance Card for urgent care in other EU countries. And also note that the social security status does not give you access to public health care. Instead, your home municipality status from DVV does. Basically, Kela is what Finland makes feel safe, fair and affordable, so if something goes wrong, you're not left alone. So how to apply? Well, first you have to simply fill out the application forms. You need your Finnish ID number to complete this step. You can also use the Kela's online service, but it requires the online banking. So instead you can just fill out the paper forms, which are also in English. And there are 3 forms. Notification of move to Finland. So here you explain why you moved, and Kela uses this to check your eligibility. Application for the EHIC card or the European Health Insurance Card. So this is like a free, cheap travel insurance when going to other EU countries. And then also application for child benefit. So if you move in with children who are younger than 17 years old, you get around 110 euros per month per kid, tax-free. But you need to have your bank account for this step. So you can also do this later once you do. Then you just return these documents. If you don't have the online banking, you can drop the paper forms in Kela mailbox, not a regular post box. And you can find the closest on Google Maps. And then you just wait for approval. Once approved, your Kela and EHIC cards will arrive by mail, usually like a few weeks later, and keep your Kela card with you. So quick recap, apply for the Kela as soon as you get your ID number. Once your card arrives, you're officially protected by the Finland social safety net. Step 3.5, get your tax card. So alright, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, taxes. Yeah, I know, not exactly what you came to Finland for, but trust me, this one's quick and actually kind of satisfying because it's the step that finally lets you get paid. So in Finland, before your employer can send you that sweet Finnish salary, you need something called a tax card verokortti in Finnish. It's basically Finland's way of saying, sure, you can work, but don't forget to share a slice with the government. And why does this matter? Because without a tax card, your employer legally has to withhold a massive 60% of your salary until you submit one. So yeah, it's worth getting right away. And once you have it, your income taxes will be automatically deducted at the correct rate every month. And if your income changes, you can update your tax card online. But how does the tax card work? So your tax card will show 3 numbers. Basic rate, perusprosentti, your normal tax rate. Additional rate, lisäprosentti, the hey, you're earning extra rate. And income ceiling, tuloraja. So this is the magical line where your taxes go from ouch to double ouch. And here's how it works. So your income is taxed at the basic rate up to your ceiling, tuloraja. So anything above that, the Finnish tax office says, congrats on earning more, now give us a bigger slice, and hits you with the higher rate. Okay, so let's say your annual estimated income, tuloraja, is 37,000 euros around, then your percentage is around 18%, the basic percentage, and your additional rate is 37.5%. And these are not accurate numbers per se, just an example to give you an idea. So long as you stay below the 37,000, you pay 18%. And if you go over any euro above that, gets taxed at the higher rate. So welcome to the Finnish taxes, simple and brutal. And as a tip, to avoid the additional rate, get the new tax with the new estimates. So what's the process to get this? First, you simply go to the nearest tax office and fill the application. You don't need to book an appointment. The form has lots of fields, but the main thing you need to know is your annual income estimate. So how much you expect to earn during the current ongoing year. And you can ignore the rest for now. Alternatively, if you have already finished online banking codes, you can use the online portal to do this. And that's great because you don't have to interact with strangers. 2, receive your tax card. So they will give you a paper version at the office, and you can also get it from the online service later when you can access it. And 3, check with your employer how to deliver the card. So these days, the tax information, the tax card goes electronically, automatically to the HR, but confirm this with your employer. And 4, adjust your card and rates if necessary. For example, if you get laid off, get a pay increase, or initial estimate is too low or too high, get a new card with the new estimates. And pro tip, if you move to Finland mid-year, like August, this will lower your tax percentage for the first year because you only work a part of the year and your annual estimate is low. And who doesn't love a smaller tax bill, especially in Finland? So quick recap, get your tax card as soon as possible, otherwise your first paycheck could be hit with a 60% tax. And once you have your tax card, getting paid in Finland is smooth sailing. And now we go to the step 4. So picture this, you want to open a bank account in Finland. So what do? Try to open it online? Nope. Walk into a bank, they show you the door faster than you can say moi. So what the heck do you do? And if you get this tip wrong, you'll be left without a bank account and locked out of the most important digital services in Finland. But why? Because in Finland, online banking credentials, verkkopankkitunnukset, are your digital passport. You use them to authenticate for everything. Electricity contracts, phone subscriptions, taxes, social benefits, rental applications, and more. And you will get this with a bank account, so it's imperative to secure both ASAP. For example, my client Nicole got everything set up super smoothly, and April, another of my clients, the bank told her she was one of the first people to get everything right before coming in. So here's how to do it hassle-free. Step 1, choose your bank. So I recommend OP Osuuspankki as your main bank to get started. Most services are English and it's a good bank overall. Step 2, make an application. So start by sending an application to OP. You answer some basic questions and need to show proof of source of funds because the banks have strict know your customer and anti-money laundering regulations, not because they want to stick their noses into your business. Step 3, book a meeting. So the bank will review your application and contact you within 5 business days or usually to book a meeting, either by email or by phone. Step 4, attend the meeting. So bring all your documents, and non-EU citizens, make sure you have your foreigner's identity card from the police before your meeting. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in processing limbo with no online banking credentials. Step 5, receive your debit card and key code list. So the key code list is needed to use the online banking codes, and your debit card is mailed to you in about a week. Step 6, download the OP mobile app. So the banks have mobile apps nowadays, and it will also give you an easier way to use the online banking codes rather than using the physical key code list. And note, you'll need to download from the Finnish App Store or Google Play Store. Step 7, transfer your funds. So if you need to transfer money from your home country, use wise.com Euro account to save on fees and get your funds to Finland faster and cheaper. Link in the description. And also pro tip, S-Pankki works as a backup and they nowadays accept walking strategy too. So if things with OP don't work, use that. So bottom line, don't let the Finnish banking bureaucracy freeze your finances. Follow these steps and you'll unlock your digital life in Finland. No drama, no delays. So now we can move to step 5, securing housing. So alright, you've just survived the Finnish paperwork obstacle course. You got your shiny new ID number, maybe even your first Finnish coffee mug, and you're thinking, okay, I can finally relax and settle in, right? But not so fast, because here comes the next boss level, finding a place to live. So picture this, you're ready to sign a lease, unpack your suitcase and finally stop living out of a backpack. But suddenly you hit the wall. No personal identity code, no lease. No online banking, you can't even fill out the most rental applications, let alone prove you're a real person. And just when you think you found a perfect flat, the landlord squints at your foreign passport and thinks, maybe next time. So what happens? You'll end up couch surfing, hopping between Airbnbs and clinging to your temporary accommodation, waiting weeks for your ID number and online banking to finally unlock the Finnish rental universe. Sounds unfair? Welcome to the housing game. But don't worry, I'm about to show you how to beat the system, dodge rookie mistakes, and actually get the roof over your head without losing your mind. So for example, with Nicole, we managed to get her a rental flat before she even arrived, so she could settle into her new home straight from the airport. So if you want to make your move to Finland stress-free, click the link in the description. So here are the big reasons why you might be homeless in Finland. 1. No ID number, no rental contract. So the ID number is the key to providing who you are when making contracts. 2. No ID number, no credit check. So in Finland we don't have a credit score, but we have a credit rating, and landlords can't screen you if you don't have an ID number. So this is a risk for landlords. And 3. No online banking, no access to most rental applications because ID number and online banking are required. So bottom line, it's nearly impossible to secure a long-term apartment before you arrive, so plan temporary accommodation for your first weeks. You can use sites like Airbnb and Forenon to secure that. But how do we secure your first Finnish home? By using my 6-step system. So step 1, understand the Finnish rental basics. So if you don't know these basics, you could end up with the wrong apartment or surprise costs. Here's what every newcomer needs to know. Most apartments are unfurnished, so you need to get your own furniture. Apartments do include basic stuff like cupboards, refrigerators, ovens, and often sauna, but you need to buy or rent the rest. 2. Learn the Finnish listing codes. So for example, 2H plus K means 2 rooms and a kitchen. Many newcomers mistake this for 2 bedrooms, but it's actually 1 bedroom and a living room. So always deduct 1 from the number to get the number of bedrooms. So for example, 3H means 2 bedrooms and 4H means 3 bedrooms. 3. Deposits are standard. So expect to pay a deposit of 0 to 2 months rent. You'll get it back if you leave the apartment clean and undamaged. Otherwise, repair and cleaning costs will be deducted. 4. Minimum stays are common. Most leases require you to stay at least 6 to 12 months. If you leave early, you could lose your deposit or pay a penalty. So check your contract carefully. Second step, defining your criteria. So before you start searching, you need to figure out what your ideal apartment looks like and where it's located. And if you skip this step, you'll waste time in your place that don't fit in your needs or end up somewhere that makes daily life harder. So here's how to do it. So imagine a Venn diagram where these 4 things overlap. Your key locations. Where do you commute regularly? It's like your office, your university, etc. Size. How many rooms and how much space do you need? Budget. How much can you spend on rent and utilities like electricity, home insurance each month? And other needs. Do you need pet-friendly housing, parking, or something else? So for example, we can have a key location with the job office in Otaniemi, size 2 bedrooms with around 70 to 80 square meters, budget with around 1,400 euros a month, including utilities, and other dog plus parking. So once you exactly know what you're looking for, you can search smarter, not harder. But how do you actually research your potential first Finnish home? That's what we do in step 3, do your research. Okay, so let's do a quick demo on rentals. And my recommended site is Vuokravi, the site we are on. It works also in English. I already toggle it in English. This is good for general research to understand rental levels, the available options, the commuting times, and so on. So we start by going to more sites criteria here. We leave the location empty. I'm going to show you soon why. Block of flats. And let's say if we have a 2-bedroom or 3-room criteria, then we click 3. So remember the number of bedrooms, how they work. 1,400 for maximum rent. Let's say living area 70 to 80 square meters. Then you scroll down. You can leave these as they are. They are not really important right now. And then right of occupancy apartments, click no right of occupancy. This is like a special type of rental apartment, but we want to filter those out. And then we just click show listings. Now it's gonna load a little bit, and then we click map. So we can see the apartments on the map. And now, of course, this is like the whole Finland we don't want that, so we just scroll down to our area. So in this example, we had the job office work location in Otaniemi, which is right here in Espoo. And now, of course, there's two ways to do this. So we, of course, want to find the available apartments in Otaniemi. We have here a few. And then the second option is to check the commuting times to the neighboring areas. And you can easily do that by Google Maps. So for example, here is an area called Leppävaara. So it's over here. So we want to check how accessible that is. And then alternatively, if we scroll down a little bit, here in the west, here is, for example, Matinkylä area over here. That is useful because there's a metro line going like around this way, which offers us a way to commute to Otaniemi quite nicely. And to do that, you simply go to Google Maps, and for example, we have Otaniemi here, and if I put Leppävaara, we can see that it's really nice and quick 15-minute tram ride, single way to Otaniemi. Very nice. So Leppävaara could also be your first neighborhood in Finland. But then, as mentioned, Matinkylä, if I'm just gonna drag this down over here, we can see that the West Metro gets you also in 23 minutes from door to Otaniemi, which is quite nice. But for example, if we go to areas like Suurpelto, which is over here, it's like 30 minutes, but we have to change buses. It's like 2 buses, so not so convenient. Or bus and metro, as we can see right here. So this is a kind of the understanding. So use Vuokraovi and Google Maps together to figure out the potential areas and the commuting times, because if your commuting times is more like 40 minutes one way, then it's kind of gets a bit annoying in my opinion. So do it accordingly. So now let's look a few option listings. So we have this one right here. It's like on the tip of the bay. So you just click it and you click it again. And of course you first get the photos. Photos are important, remember it. We want to see if they fit the bed and the toaster at the same time. So you just see the photos, you see the layout. So these letter combinations are abbreviations of rooms. So OH means olohuonees, like living room. K is like kitchen and so on. So you want to check the photos, bed and toaster fit, like so. And then if you scroll down, you see the basic info and also description. Usually they have also them in English. But here, for example, we see that when you rent this home, the contract is open and lease with a minimum stay of 6 months. So if you leave early than 6 months, you probably have to pay a penalty. And then there's some like a description, and they always try to make it look appealing and that you would get this apartment. And then if you scroll down, you see more info. You see the address, you see the flat layout. So 3H plus kitchen means 3 rooms and kitchen. So 2 bedrooms, living room and a kitchen. You see this living area, construction year, floor. So this is on the 4th floor, which is nice. Pets allowed, important. Smoking is usually always not allowed. And then if you scroll down, you see the rent, you see the payment date, when this is available. So this would be 1st of November when I'm recording this video. Minimum length, okay, this is in Finnish for some reason. Minimum length 6 months, and deposit is 0. So this is actually nice. So some of the companies will try to get more clients, customers, tenants by offering free deposit. And here's all important: water fees, 25 euro per person per month. So it can be like this, or sometimes it can be included in the rent. So you want to check it out. Okay, if you scroll down, there's balcony. Sometimes they just leave this in Finnish, but you could just use Google Translate like this if you want. Yes, so that's pretty much it. So now if this seems to like a good option for you, then you can just kind of save it for comparison. But now let's just do one for comparison's sake. Let's do one more. So we go Espoo. Let's just take, for example, one here in Matinkylä. Matinkylä has a big shopping mall. Let's see, for example, this one. So this is, okay, I forgot to mention there's always the company or the person renting this. So this is from a company called Retta. This has only English, Finnish, the description, but again, Google Translate helps. But we can see rent, size. This is a newer apartment compared to the previous one. So this is also 3H. So being 2 bedrooms, it's a little bit smaller. It's 70 square meters. It's furnished, which is quite standard. Pets allowed. Nice. Smoking not. Available immediately. Okay, so here again, it says that after 6 months, you can cancel, terminate. So minimum stays again 6 months. Water fee, 24 euros per person per month. And here they have actually the increasing clause. So it's like cost of living index plus 3.5% maximum annually. So they can increase the rent every year with the cost of living index plus 3.5%. So that's kind of good to know if you want to live long term. Yeah, we forgot to look at the photos, but yeah, you can kind of admire the Finnish apartments if you want. And then they have some extra information here. So to recap, use Vuokraovi and Google Map together to do research on your first Finnish home. But how do you actually start applying? Well, next step, we will have to look at the recommended sites. So if you don't know where to start, you could waste weeks on applications that go nowhere. Here's how to target your research for best results, even if you don't have all your paperwork done yet. And there are two main ways to securing housing: renting from a private person or renting from a rental company. And many rental company sites require at least an ID code, and many require online banking authentication as well. Here's where I recommend starting. Sherio. Sherio offers whole apartments for couples and families and shared apartments for people who want cheaper housing for lower rent. It's run by my partner Ed, who is an immigrant himself, and I met him in person. And this is for great community and value, and online banking is not required. Sato. So Sato is a big rental company with wide range of apartments in major Finnish cities. I've lived with them too, and they are my partners in my relocation service. And their entire site is available in English. However, online applications require banking credentials, but they also accept paper applications with just your ID code. Noli Studios. So Noli combines regular rentals with hotel-style living. For a monthly fee, you get an apartment plus amenities like sauna, spa, cleaning, electricity, internet, and even a gym. And no contract needed. Just choose your length of stay and pay by card. All apartments are at least semi-furnished, and I've lived with Noli for a year in the past, and I think it's good for singles and couples, maybe less optimal for families. Casa. So Casa lets you message landlords directly with contracts and payments managed on their portal, and my recent client found an apartment here before they had even their ID code arranged. Facebook groups. So many Facebook groups connect you with private landlords who may be flexible about paperwork. So when you reach out, show you have a steady income, who will care for the apartment and intend to stay long term. Vuokravi. So you can also use Vuokravi, and some listings are by private individuals, so you can reach out them too. So bottom line, with the right strategy and a little bit persistence, you can find a home even before you have your every piece of paperwork in hand. So the next step in the process is to arrange a viewing. So if you send an application, they will invite you for a viewing, or if it's a private landlord, then usually the same thing. So don't just trust the photos, because sometimes cozy means fits a bed and a toaster, but not at the same time. So scams in Finland are very rare, but I would not recommend renting before seeing. So when you visit, ask these key questions. What's included in the rent and how increases are handled? Does the rent cover water, internet, parking, sauna, etc.? How often can the rent go up and by how much? What is the landlord's selection criteria? Do they care most about payment reliability, references, credit history, or pets? How much is the security deposit and when it's not refunded? What counts as normal wear and tear and versus damage? What are the terms for ending the lease early? Like, is there a penalty or required notice period? What's the situation between parking and guest parking? Is there like dedicated space, or is it just street parking, and is it actually available? How maintenance and repairs? How do you call if someone breaks? How often are inspections? Is there reliable maintenance partner? Like how it works. Before you say yes, ask yourself, would I actually want to live here? If not, keep searching. And if you like it, ask what's the next step and get ready to make it yours. Sixth step, receiving the contract. So one of my relocation clients made a big mistake in the past. So the rental company accidentally put the wrong apartment in the contract, and there were two apartments available in the same building, and they mixed them up. And if you don't double check the contract, you could end up in the wrong apartment or with surprise costs. So make sure to do this carefully. And here's a quick checklist. 1. Basic info, like tenant and landlord names, contact details, address, size, included spaces like parking, storage, etc. And the landlord's right to rent. So just that they are actually allowed to rent the place. 2. Contract type. Is it fixed term or open-ended? Start and end dates clearly written. So notice period is usually 1 month for tenant, and for landlords it's anything between 6 to 3 months. Rent and payments. So what is the monthly rent amount and due date, and what's included like water, heating, internet, etc. And if there's any extra fees, and what is the rent increase clause, how and when. Deposit and prepayments. So security deposit amount, which is usually anything between 0 to 3 months. Payment date and return conditions. And note that deposit is different from prepaid rent. So the deposit is held as a security, not as advance rent. The condition. Do a joint inspection, kuntotarkastus. Take photos and videos as proof you didn't do the damage. If it's not documented, you might pay for someone else's mess, and we don't want that. Responsibilities. Who handles small repairs? Is home insurance required? Usually yes. Who makes the electricity contract? Usually the tenant. And pets and smoking rules. And then other terms, rent increase formula, attachments, building rules, storage, sauna, use, parking, and then how do you sign the papers? Is it digitally or with like paper? And final step, read everything. Yes, even the fine print, and confirm all the details. If you don't understand something, ask, and keep the copies for yourself. Your future self will thank you. So the bottom line, take your time to check every detail before you sign, ask for clarification if necessary. And now we can move to step 6. the utilities. So picture this, you move into your first Finnish apartment, everything looks perfect, until you realize the lights don't turn on, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, and you can't even make your morning coffee. Welcome to Finland's unofficial initiation, setting up your utilities. But don't worry, it's actually pretty simple once you know what to do. And there are 5 things to set up. First, electricity, sähkösopimus. So in Finland, electricity isn't usually included in your rent and you have to set up your own contract. If you forget, your first night in Finland might be lit only by candles and confusion, and it happened to more than one newcomer. So here are 3 things to know. Contract types. To simplify things, you'll see 2 main types of contracts in Finland. Either fixed type electricity, kiinteähintainen, and this means that the price stays the same for the whole contract period, which means safety and predictability. The bad thing is that you are locked in and you can't switch or cancel the contract, usually anything between 12 to 24 months. And the second type is market price electricity, usually pörssisähkö. And this is historically cheapest overall, but the prices change every 15 minutes and they can sometimes spike. But for most people in block of flats apartments, the market price contract is the easiest. The price is usually low and your usage is small anyway. Plus you can change the contract type anytime. Then let's talk about the bill. When you get the contract, there are usually 2 companies involved. The energy company who sells you the electricity and the transfer company who delivers the electricity to your home. And you receive separate order confirmations and invoices from both. Sometimes you can combine them depending on the company. Then the cost. So the total electricity cost, energy transfer and taxes in regular block of flat apartments is around 10 to 40 euros a month. And luckily this is one of the things that are actually cheap in Finland. But how do you actually get the contract here? Here's what you need to do. Well, you can go to any electricity company website and buy online, but here's the catch. You can only set up a contract online if you have already Finnish online banking credentials, verkkopankkitunnukset. And if you don't have this yet, you need to contact the customer service by phone or email to get started. But do this as soon as possible, and activation can take a few days, so you don't want to be stuck in the dark. And to make this easier, I've partnered with the electricity company that can help you set up contract quickly and in English. Check the link in the description. 2, choose your contract type and fill in your details. So in the contract, it's just like address, personal details, how you want to receive your invoices by email, or for example, your starting date, which should be your moving date. And then you just receive an order confirmation on email, and then you'll be on your way to a well-lit Finnish home. So sort your electricity ASAP unless you want to learn how to charge your phone at the nearest McDonald's. Then the next step in utilities is home insurance. So here's a quick story. When I was a student, someone I knew came home after getting super drunk at the party. He went to shower and he passed out on the drain. And when he woke up, the whole apartment was flooded. And guess what's the worst part? No home insurance, so he had to pay tens of thousands in damages. Lesson learned. Finnish apartments are not waterproof, and neither is your wallet if you skip insurance. So in Finland, nearly every rental contract encourages you to have home insurance, kotivakuutus. And even if it wasn't mandatory, you'd want it because it protects your stuff and your bank account if anything goes wrong. So what does it cover? Your belongings if there's a leak, fire or theft, damages you accidentally cause to an apartment like washing machine flood, legal or liability costs if you affect someone else's property. Coverage depends on the company and the scope. And the cost, usually around 13 to 25 euros per month, depending on your apartment and the scope of coverage. But how to get it? Well, you need to have at least your Finnish ID number. And you can go to any company website. I recommend OP Pohjola and If Insurance to request a quote. And you just enter your details to get started. And you get the policy offer by email, usually within a day, and then you want to check the terms. They can sometimes be in Finnish only, but you can use ChatGPT to help understand the details. I also have a contact at OP Pohjola who can get you a quote easily. You just need to have your ID number. And if you need insurance urgently and still have to wait for the ID number from DVV, you can also book a time with OP and go to their office physically to get this done. So bottom line, don't get a stupid accident on bad day ruin your finances. Get home insurance before you move in and you'll sleep a lot better no matter what happens in the shower. The third step in the utilities, internet or Wi-Fi. There's at least one thing in Finland that's actually cheap, fast internet, but you need to set it up yourself or you could be stuck offline on your first night. So often the basic internet, usually like 10-20 megabytes per second, is included in your rent through the building's broadband. This is known as taloyhtiölaajakaista in Finnish. So if you want faster speeds like 100 megabytes, it usually costs you a little bit of extra. For example, here we do the same and we pay like 11 euros a month for that speed. But here's how to get connected. Again, you need your ID number before you can set this up. First, check with your landlord to see if the internet is already included in the rent. And also find out which internet provider serves in your building, your landlord can give this information. And then you simply visit the internet provider store to activate the service. And you usually need to also buy a router, and they will sell it to you, and they will also sell you the correct router. If your building does not have a broadband connection, then the prices will be more expensive. And note there are different wall sockets depending on the internet connection type, but the staff at the internet store will tell you what you need. And that's it. You'll be streaming, working, and scrolling in no time. Fourth step in the utilities, phone plans. So in Finland, you don't need to call people much, thank God, but you need the Finnish phone number, forms, deliveries, and registration sometimes. So imagine trying to book a doctor's appointment or receive an important package, only get stuck because you don't have a local number. But how to get started? The easiest way to get started is with the prepaid SIM or eSIM, which is a SIM card that you can just activate without a physical card. So physical SIMs are sold at every airport, R-kioski, and grocery stores like Alepa, K-Market, and Sale. And you don't need any paperwork, not even an ID number. You just buy it and pop it in and you're connected. And once you settle in and sorted your paperwork, you can switch to a postpaid subscription liittymä, which is like a proper monthly plan. And these cost around 10 to 30 euros per month depending on your data speed and package. But there are some important things to keep in mind. So for non-EU citizens, you need your foreigner's ID card before you can get the postpaid plan. And deposit. So some providers may ask a deposit like 100 to 300 euros if you don't have the Finnish credit history. Then the providers. So the main ones are Elisa, Telia, DNA, and Moi Mobili. And they're all good, decent, with similar prices, and you can just pop into one of their stores to see who has the best offer. So start with a prepaid SIM or eSIM to get up and running fast, and once your ID, bank account, and address are sorted, switching to a monthly plan is easy. Bottom line, don't ignore utilities as they can make your first days tricky. But also, fifth step in the utilities, furniture. Most rental apartments in Finland are unfurnished, which means unless you want to become one with your hardwood floor, you need to plan for your furniture. So how do you get set up without losing your mind or your sleep? First, I want to mention the furnishing service. So my partner Martin runs a service called Keja. They'll create a customized plan including furniture and household essentials based on your needs and budget, and then they will deliver and assemble everything in your home ready. So no need to sprint through IKEA or wrestle with flat pack instructions like a madman or a madwoman. So you can get a free quote. Check the link in the description for details. But then, of course, you can go for second-hand stores. So Finland loves second-hand, and there are plenty of options, such as tori.fi, Vinted, Kierrätyskeskus, and Facebook Marketplace. But here's a pro tip. I wouldn't buy beds or sofas or similar furniture second-hand because due to the rare but real risk of bed bugs. So that's going to be a big headache you don't want. And then household essential stores. For new stuff, try Prisma, which is a supermarket with big home goods selection, City Market, which is another supermarket, Power and Gigantti for home electronics, Tokmanni, which is a discount household essential store, and Verkkokauppa.com, which is kind of known as the Amazon of Finland. You'll find everything from kettles to kitchen tables. So quick recap, sort your furniture early, you're back, and sanity will thank you, unless you enjoy eating dinner on a cardboard box, in which case, carry on. Now we can move to step 7. Healthcare. So Finland healthcare system is excellent, but if you're new here, it can feel like a maze. Imagine your first week in Finland, you wake up with a fever or your child falls off a bike. So where do you go? Spoiler, not the sauna. But don't worry, I'll make it clear. So before we dive in, who is eligible? To use the public healthcare with the local prices, you need to have your home municipality registered at DVV. So many mistake that Kela card also does this, but not automatically. So make sure to get the home municipality ASAP. And there isn't just one system, there are several. Let's check them out. First, the public healthcare, julkinen terveydenhuolto. And we can split this into two different parts. First is non-emergency treatment, kiireetön hoito. So to get started, you contact your local health center, terveysasema, which is determined by your address. And some cities offer online booking or digital services, so just Google health center and your city to get started. And then the second part is emergency treatment, kiireellinen hoito. So if you break your arm, you go to päivystys, which is the emergency services. And there's no upfront payment, you'll get the bill later. And note that the emergency services are available in designated health centers only. So make sure to Google these two. And about the costs in general, people with the home municipality pay only a client fee, which is asiakasmaksu, which depends on your city, and Google will help you again. Then the second part is the private healthcare, yksityinen terveydenhuolto. And this is faster, but more expensive, and you can simply book a time on a doctor and on their website and go. And there are companies like Terveystalo, Pihlajalinna, and Mehiläinen. They're equally good in my opinion. And if you have a Kela card, you get reimbursed part of the cost bill, and usually you pay this on the spot. Then the third one is occupational healthcare, työterveys. So if you're employed, your company must provide this, and it's usually done by private clinics, and it's fast, free for you, and often covers general health, vaccinations, and mental health. This is very good, please use. And the fourth one is Finnish Student Healthcare Service. Available for higher degree students, low cost, and covers most needs but not emergencies. For example, I had all my wisdom teeth removed at the student healthcare back then, and it cost like 100 euros. In total. Yeah, it's cheap. And if you have prescribed medicine, get the Finnish prescription once landed. And remember, you can bring only a limited supply from your home country, even more so if it's a controlled substance. So once you know where to go, you'll find the Finnish healthcare logical, safe, and accessible. Just be patient and bring your paperwork. You've got this. And now we can move to the step 8, the education system. So if you're moving with kids, you want them to enter the Finland's world-class education system. There's a lot to know, but here are the most important points. 1. Compulsory education, oppivelvollisuus. Yep, your children is legally required to learn for a decade between the ages 7 and 18. That covers the full journey from early learning to graduation, and the best part, it's almost entirely free. No tuition fees, no hidden costs, even meals, books, and transport are included. 2. The 5 phases of Finnish education. So let's look at the education system in a glance. So we start with the early childhood education, or daycare, varhaiskasvatus, päiväkoti, and this is usually between ages 1 to 6. So Finland offers high quality early childhood education focused on play, creativity, and social skills. It's about building your confidence and curiosity, not memorizing facts. So parents can choose the starting age, usually around 1.5 years to 2 years old, but it can be sooner. For example, my son went to daycare. He was around 1.5 years. Then the second step is preschool, esiopetus, age 6. 1 year of preschool starts the year your child turns 6. And it gently prepares for them to school routines, teamwork, basic learning skills, all through play and discovery. Think of it as a tutorial level for school. Then we have comprehensive school, peruskoulu, ages 7 and 15. So children start grade 1 on the year they turn 7. From grades 1 to 9, everyone follows the same national curriculum, so there's no competition or ranking. Every school offers equal quality. The teachers are highly trained, and each school can adjust emphasis on things like art, science, or languages. Then upper secondary school or vocational school, ages 15 to 18. So after grade 9, students can choose their path. General upper secondary school, lukio in Finnish, this is for those planning for university studies. Or vocational education, ammatillinen koulutus, for those who prefer hands-on learning and direct job skills like a plumber or chef. Both are free and both can lead to higher education later. Then we have higher education, korkeakoulutus, ages 18 plus. So after upper secondary or vocational school, students can apply for a university, yliopisto, or University of Applied Sciences, ammattikorkeakoulu. So if we look at this, for example, if your child is 5, they start in daycare or preschool, depending when they turn 6. And if they're 10, they'll join the comprehensive school at the right grade for their age. So from daycare to university, your child's education in Finland is top-notch and nearly free. But how does the daycare work in Finland for your kids? Let's break it down on the next section. So if you're moving to Finland with kids in your daycare age, this is one of the first things you need to arrange. So imagine arriving ready to start work or study and realizing you need a safe, nurturing place for your child fast. So every city manages its own system, but the choices are always the same: public daycare or private daycare. And note that private does not necessarily mean better. Quality is the same for public and private. Everyone follows the same curriculum and teacher qualifications, but differences are possible. So here's what to know. I'll use Espoo as an example, but the process is nearly similar in other cities. Public daycare, kunnallinen päivähoito. So this is organized by the city, and the fees depend on the family income between 0 to 311 euros a month, and this is subsidized by tax money. Includes full daycare, meals, outdoor play, and early education. Staff mostly speak Finnish, but with Swedish and English options available. For example, my son is currently in a Swedish-speaking daycare. Then we have the private daycare, yksityinen päivähoito. So there are two main systems for the private daycare. There's a service voucher, palveluseteli option. So the city pays part of your fee directly to the provider with a service voucher, and you apply this usually through the city's system. And then there's a private daycare allowance, yksityisen hoidon tuki. So for private daycares not covered by the service voucher system, Kela, the social security system, pays the subsidy. So you contact the daycare directly and apply for the allowance afterwards. Costs are similar in the private healthcare, usually between 0 to 351 euros a month, depending on the family income. So how do you apply for the daycare then? For public daycare and service voucher options, you simply reach out to the daycares in your area and organize a visitation to get to know them better. And then once you have your options selected, you apply via your city's online system, for example in Espoo it's called Evaka. And then you just choose your top 3 centers in the application. But note that in some cities the online service like Espoo requires you to have ID numbers for you and your child, family relations registered at DVV, as well as the online banking authentication. So if you're missing this, you can apply with the paper form. With private daycare, with the Kela allowance, you simply contact the daycare directly and then you apply for a Kela support afterwards. Processing times. So note that the public and service voucher options, the default time is up to 4 months, but there's a 2-week fast track option for families with a new work or study, contract or admission. And usually if you move to Finland, you qualify for this. So you don't have to wait 4 months to get the daycare. With the private one, it depends on the option, better to ask them directly, but what I've heard is usually 2 weeks. So quick recap, start working on this as soon as possible so your children can get a stress-free start for their life in Finland. Then the elementary school. So if you're relocating kids in the school age, so Finland offers several school types and the best choice depends on your child's language skills and how long you plan to stay in Finland. I'm using the examples in the capital region, so check your local area options. The first option is the Finnish language schools and the preparatory school. So this is called peruskoulu and valmistava opetus. So these are the standard public schools. They're generally free, no tuition fees, free textbooks, materials, free daily hot meals, and even free transport if the school is over between 5 to 7 kilometers from home. Noteworthy is that there's not much competition between schools because they all follow the same principles, although some school may have better teachers. So the teaching is in Finnish, but children who don't yet speak the language, they can start in a preparatory education, valmistava opetus, a 1-year bridge program focused on the Finnish language, study skills, and local culture. Afterward, they moved into a regular Finnish class with continued Finnish as a second language S2 support. So this is best for families planning to settle long-term and integrate fully into the Finnish life. Public international schools tuition free. So a few municipal international schools teach mainly in English. They're free, but spots are limited, and priority usually goes to children with an international background or prior English language schooling. For example, Maunula Primary School, Ressu Comprehensive School, Espoo International School, and International School of Vantaa. They follow the Finnish national curriculum, just taught in English. Then we have private international schools, which are tuition-based. So privately run and following the IB, British or European curricula, ideal for globally mobile families or shorter stays. For example, International School of Helsinki, European School of Helsinki, the English School, the British School of Helsinki, or Helsinki's English School. Well, they all sound the same. So the tuition ranges from around 600 euros per year to 2,000 to 5,000 euros per year, up to 12,000 to 16,000 a year in premium schools like the International School of Helsinki. So books, meals, and after-school programs are often extra. So how to apply? So public schools, like Finnish and international ones, your city will assign you a local public school and you can apply for a secondary school like the English schools. So check your city's website for application periods and terms. Placement is based on your registered address at DVV. Preparatory education, the valmistava opetus. So each city has its own process. For example, in Espoo, families can contact the preparatory education directly by email, which is listed on the website. Other cities use similar forms or contact addresses. So private international schools apply directly on the school website and they have their own timelines, entrance exams, and tuition details. So quick recap. So in short, Finnish schools offer full integration and zero costs. International schools provide a smoother transition for English-speaking or short-term families. Then we can move to step 9, integration. So congratulations, you're done with forms, stamps, and waiting rooms. But you don't start celebrating just yet. This is where Finland switches from bureaucratic boss battle to open world sandbox. Integration isn't just about learning the rules. It's about feeling at home, building a rhythm, and connecting with people without accidentally joining a sauna competition or getting stuck in a silent elevator. So here's how to thrive beyond the bureaucracy. Learn Finnish. Even a little. So you don't need to master every grammar case to get started. Even simple words like kiitos, anteeksi, and moi go a long way. And bonus points if you can pronounce yökyöpeli without spraining your tongue. Take a beginner course, use Duolingo, or join a free class through your local city or TE office to get started. The effort matters more than perfection. Finns deeply appreciate it. Even if your accent sounds like a blender full of marbles, they love you for trying. Join community activities. So each city has integration courses, hobby clubs, and expat networks. Check Meetup, Facebook groups, or your municipality's integration page for events. Sport clubs, choir groups, volunteering, all great ways to meet locals and practice Finnish naturally. Hint, if you can survive a Finnish jog or a choir rehearsal in a language you don't speak, you're already halfway integrated. Build routines around Finnish life. Sauna on Fridays, nature walks on weekends, coffee breaks every afternoon. These small rituals help you sync with Finnish life, and they're often where friendships start. So pro tip, if you're invited to a sauna, say yes. If you're invited for a swim in an ice hole, say yes. Then immediately question your life choices. Then don't isolate, reach out. So many newcomers underestimate how quiet life can feel at first. It's normal, but small talk here happens slowly. If you want to make friends, be the first to invite. For coffee, for a walk, or to your place. Finns open up once they trust you. Just remember, the first moi is the hardest. After that, it's only 3 to 5 years until you're invited to someone's summer cottage. Finnish humor. We're almost done. Use the free support available. Cities offer integration plans, language courses, and career counseling through the city services. So ask your city's international house, like International House Helsinki. They can guide you to job programs, spouse networks, and Finnish mentors. Especially in the capital area, check out the Spouse Program, a free initiative to help partners of internationals build a social network, learn about Finnish working life, and find career opportunities. You can join even before finding a job. It's designed to help spouses feel included, connected, and confident to start their own path in Finland. And yes, they even help you decode the mysterious Finnish paperwork. Remember, integration takes time. So most people feel like outsiders for the first year. Then one day you find yourself laughing at Finnish memes and realize you've crossed the bridge. So don't rush it. Every step you take, every form, every word, every sauna visit is part of the story. If you accidentally call the cashier mom, just roll with it, you're learning. So Finland isn't about fitting in perfectly. It's about finding balance between independence and community, between silence and connection. And when those things start to click, that's when you realize you're not just living in Finland, you belong here. And to conclude, step 10 with a few random tips to help you get settled in. So weigh your fruits and veggies before checkout. Every foreigner learns this one the hard way. Buy your transport tickets in the HSL app. Inspectors mean business. Join loyalty programs. S-etukortti, K-Plussa, and Little Plus. Small savings add up fast. Join a labor union and unemployment fund once you start working. It's really built-in safety net. Get a library card. It's free and gives access to the books, audiobooks, movies, tools, and even co-working spaces. Silence isn't rude. It's just Finland's version of comfort. Layer up properly in the winter. It's not the cold gets you, it's the bad clothing. Learn about tax deductions, verovähennykset. Get free money back for work expenses and commuting. Buy secondhand. Tori.fi, Fida, Kierrätyskeskus are gold mines for furniture and gear. Recycle like a Finn. Paper, plastic, metal, glass, bio. Every building has a separate bin. So it takes some time to get settled in. I hope with these tips and guides, you'll do it quicker. And if you need any help with your relocation, check the link in the description.